So I live in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is very much a city of neighborhoods. A local artist named Judd Haynes put that image together by driving around the city and stopping people and asking them what they called the place that they lived. And there are a lot of names on that image. And there's a lot more that sets our neighborhoods apart than just their names. They differ in what the buildings look like, how wide the streets are, whether there are parks or schools or businesses nearby. And all that comes in under the heading of the built environment. So what my research looked at was how the built environment affects our social and our civic lives. See, we know a fair bit by now about how the built environment affects our physical health. So we know we can design a neighborhood that'll make people more active, get them out walking or biking. But we don't know that much about how our social and our civic health is impacted. There's a story there that comes out of architecture and urban planning about the importance of casual contact, of designing a neighborhood so that neighbors bump into each other and that builds social and political ties. And that's totally a convincing story, but there's actually not very much data out there to back it up. So that's what my research addressed. I spent a couple months stopping people all over St. John's to survey them on their social and their civic participation. And then I also grabbed their postal codes and plugged those into Google Street View so that I could do an inventory of what the built environment looked like around where those people lived. Crunch the numbers a bit to control for all the other things that might be impacting participation. And we find that there really is a story there. And the story is about walkability. The more walkable your neighborhood is, the more likely you are to be socially and civically engaged. A move from the least walkable neighborhood in St. John's to the most walkable gives you something like a 5.5% boost in your overall level of engagement. That might not sound like much, but to get to that boost in a different way, you'd have to go from never speaking to your neighbors to speaking to them all the time, and from never volunteering to volunteering all the time. So it's a pretty big deal. Now you might think that I've got this backwards, that what's actually happening is just people who are more engaged are moving to walkable neighborhoods. And I actually totally thought that was true at the beginning of this process. So I put in questions to test for it, and it turns out that really rarely happens. It's our neighborhoods that are shaping us as people rather than the other way around. And that reminds us of something really important, which is that cities matter. So municipal policy isn't the sexiest thing in the world, but decisions being made by planning departments and city councils are having a real impact on how we participate as citizens. And participation is power. Thank you.